Right, and also Akshita, we understand that it's a very, very tricky operation to carry out the horizontal tunnel because we're looking at the earth which is almost 30 feet deep, and for the tunnel to not cave in and for the earth to not fall down upon them, it is extremely difficult and it's extremely delicate for them to handle this entire situation in the right way.
Right, Nishita, quickly, of course, if I could explain to you exactly what kind of care they're going to be taking. They've ensured that they have precautionary measures at hand. We know that, of course, considering that initially they were planning to dig through and reach her, and then realizing that that could be an issue, they wanted to go ahead and take 2 steps. So they're ensuring that they do have enough measures at hand, and that if at all there is any sort of threat to Akshita's life, they go ahead and eliminate it immediately. You can see that it is pretty deep, of course, and there's no doubt that it is going to take a lot of effort post this as well. Of course, this is pretty much the first step. The first step itself has taken so many hours together because we're looking at them drilling the stone, we're looking at them moving everything using the JCBs, and now, as you can see, finally we're reaching step 2, which is of course reaching down there and then going ahead and using a spade and going ahead and then reaching through horizontally as well. It could take a couple of hours easily, Nishita. So about 12 to 2 o'clock is what the officials have said, and it looks like they could pretty much stick to that timing. Also, at the same time, we have to keep in mind that above they have removed that tent, keeping in mind that the sun is now down. They're letting air go by, they're letting it remain open so that, of course, there's some fresh air as well. The oxygen pipes are still pumping oxygen inside, but of course, once they manage to go ahead and fill that base, we will be looking at them going ahead and also using Mr. Manikantan's device to pull 4-year-old Akshita out of that borewell, Nishita.
Well, Akshita, what is the estimated time within which the rescue officials are expecting to go through horizontally and rescue Akshita?
Right, Shruti. Well, there is, of course, going to be a lot of speculation on that front, considering, of course, that the officials have given a certain timing. But all through the day, of course, they have been stating that in some time they will be able to figure it out. But there have been complications that have been arising, and hopefully, fingers crossed, of course, that there won't be any more complications. They're facing a pretty hard time because of that rocky surface. But keeping that in mind, they've already said between 12 to 2 o'clock is when we can expect that they will finish with their rescue operations. Once again, it looks a bit far-fetched. It could take up till 4 a.m. keeping in mind that the officials are right now reaching down there. They're going to then push through using spades and the likes. And you can look at that surface. We've been showing it all through the day. It's not easy to get through that kind of rock. And they're going to need machines as well. They're using all the equipment they have at hand. They've been doing it by machines now. They've decided to get down there personally themselves and do it with their hands. So we will have to wait and watch to see how that goes by. But of course, as of now, it's definitely a progress, no doubt, considering that we've been seeing this happen all day long. And this is what the officials have been waiting for, Shruti.
Also, Akshita, what are the doctors saying about the health condition of Akshita? Is there any sign of life as of now?
Well, unfortunately, Shruti, there's absolutely no word coming in from the officials. Remember, the last we heard was that late last night when, in fact, the incident itself came to light, they had sent a little camera down. That time they did catch a hand, but there was no movement as such, and that has several people worried. But it's a little too early probably to say whether she has managed to survive that fall, whether Akshita is alive or not. It's been 24 hours, of course. It's definitely not easy, but the basic speculation is that she could possibly be unconscious because, of course, she fell headfirst. She could have sustained injuries, but the hope is still there, Shruti. In fact, I was speaking to her family members earlier. Yes, they are very dismayed about the incident. They feel, of course, that there's absolutely no word coming in from the officials, but at the same time, they are praying and hoping that Akshita is still very much alive. Also, Shruti, what we have to keep in mind is that today, when Mr. Manikantan came in from Chennai, he came with a device, with that, of course, robotic arm that we've all been talking about. But initially, what he was doing is he was putting a camera down. But there's no word on whether, in fact, he caught a sight of Akshata or not, because soon after, of course, that was stalled, and then they started to use an all-new strategy. So did they stop it midway, or did they, in fact, catch a glimpse and then come out? There's no word, because the officials are remaining completely mum on that front, Shruti. So there's no word of whether Akshata is alive or not, but the hope is still very much there. And everyone, as you can see, Shruti, all through the day, they've been putting in their heart and soul into going ahead and rescuing that little girl. So the hope is very much alive that she would have survived this fall, and there's no doubt that, of course, she has suffered injuries. There are, of course, medical camps present there. We've got an ambulance waiting on standby. So we've got several doctors present there, and in fact they're waiting right next to the borewell, so that as soon as she's picked up, they can rush her to the hospital without any sort of delay. This is about 20 kilometers away from Bijapur, Shruti. So of course at this time, dead in the night, there's not going to be a traffic issue as such. So they're hoping that in less than 5 minutes they get her to the hospital, give her, administer the kind of care that's necessary, because if she has survived this fall, that will be of utmost need. That will be a priority to ensure that she comes out of this incident unscathed.
Right, also, Akshata, is the exact position of the child known, where exactly the child is, and how many feet have the officials dug in? Or do they plan to go directly at the child or below her? Is the NDRF planning to rescue her, or will the robot still be used? Any clarity on that front?
Well, Nishita, in fact, initially it was being said, of course, as soon as Mr. Manikandan came there, that he would be pulling her out. But we saw the digging continuing. And soon after, of course, there were those reports which stated that there was a new strategy at place, which is what is still doing the rounds, that they're going to dig up, they're going to go through it horizontally after doing it vertically, and then ensure that they fill up the base so that Akshata doesn't fall right down. And then they will use Mr. Manikandan's robot arm to go ahead and pick her up and scoop her up. But now, of course, there's no word on whether, in fact, they're going in directly. If you actually look at that wall, Nishita, you can see that it's completely made of stone. So either way, it's not going to be easy. But what we understand is that that is about timber at about 29 feet. So they've ensured that they keep about 5 feet distance to ensure that no harm comes her way, even while they're digging, and ensure that the sound also doesn't reach her too loudly. There is stone, of course, so that protects the sound as well, because remember, if she's conscious, it's going to be a harrowed experience when you're stuck in there, and also there's this huge banging noise from outside. So they're looking at it from every possible angle, Nishita, and as of now, a report still suggesting that they're sticking to their earlier strategy of going ahead and going through it horizontally, and then ensuring that they fill up the base, and then Mr. Manikandan's device picking her up. But at the borewell, Nishita, there's absolutely no device being kept there. Everything's been cleared out. They've still kept only the oxygen tanks. They've got that huge pipe sticking out to ensure that there's proper air circulation. But beyond that, of course, there is absolutely no device being kept there on standby as well, which kind of leads us to the question as to whether they've decided that since they've dug so deep, since they've decided to go till 36 feet, to just directly go and rescue Akshata. That's another doubt that we do have, but only time will tell which strategy they are adopting. Either way, the prime objective, Nishita, is to get this little girl out as soon as possible.
Right, also, Akshata, we understand that you have been interacting with the villagers there, with the people there, the local residents who have probably seen Akshata day in and day out. What is the kind of response that you're receiving from them? What is the feeling like in this village at the moment?
Well, in fact, initially there was a lot of shock over what had happened. We understand that this borewell was there for several years together. In fact, this is where the borewell is, Nishita, and where Akshata stays is right there. In fact, we showed it to you earlier as well. It's a very close distance. It's very close by. She was playing around and this incident took place. It was very unexpected as well, but several of them were left absolutely shocked. In fact, family, friends, relatives, all of them have completely come together at Akshata's house. They are with the family, they're consoling them, telling them all is okay. She is going to survive. She is a tough kid and that she will make it through. Besides that, a lot of curious onlookers have also come together. More than anything else, Nishita, they have expressed shock over this incident. What we have to keep in mind is that while Akshata's house is here, this borewell is right here, and it is owned by people who live right next to it. They have a house there. There's no doubt that there's going to be a lot of anger against them as well. So there is going going to be quite a bit of answering for them to do. We understand that the borewell has been left open for years together. In fact, when we spoke to the localites, they went on to express their anger over that point, that they have pointed it out to the owner and nothing was done. Nothing was done to cover it up. So this was almost a tragedy waiting to happen of sorts, considering, of course, that this borewell has been left open. We've seen so many such incidents take place in the past many years, and this little girl was being chased by a dog. She fell right in, and we saw, and of course now it looks like everyone's doing all they can to rescue the girl. This tragedy could have been so easily averted, Nishita. The Supreme Court has stepped in 2010, but it looks like people are still blatantly ignorant about the dangers of an open borewell.
Well, thank you so much, Akshita, for joining in with all those details.